Hey, what's cracking, fellas? It's Entei back with Sip of the Kraken Cup for week 4. I did not have as much time as I would have liked for this video, so it might be a little rushed, and for that I apologize, but what can you do? That's how it goes sometimes. Let's just jump right into it, starting with the results. So this was a in-division week, so the San Diego Wild Chargers and Classic City Crush picked up wins in the Hydreigon division. Similarly, the Halifax Hydreigons and East Coast Excadrill got wins, then the Gutsy Golbats and Chicago Flash Fire for Tyranitar, and finally Po Town Nickit and Cape Town Crocodiles both got wins in the Gudra division. So let us remind everyone of last week's standings, which looked a little something like this, and now here is what this week's standings look like. So definitely a very interesting week. Things have shifted around a little bit. The San Diego Wild Chargers and East Coast Excadrill are still at the tops of their respective divisions. However, the Tyranitar division is turning into something quite interesting. 3 teams are currently 2-2, meaning the differential is all that's separating them. So we have the Raleigh Rotoms at +3, the Chicago Flash Fire at +2, and the Gutsy Golbats at -2. So it'll be very interesting to see how that all unfolds. And then over in the Gudra division, the Cape Town Crocodiles actually beat the Boston Bisharps to steal the division leader position from the tie they used to be in. So the Cape Town Crocodiles and Itza Bruno progress to 4-0 and secure that division leader spot, at least for the time being. Let's just go to superlatives. And again, like I said, this video is going to be kind of rushed, so I did not get the clips for these matches, and I apologize for that, but the best match is going to Monk in the Classic City Crush versus Ethereal Rose and the Rosa Raiders. This match was just super down to the wire. I wasn't sure who was going to win until the very end. As is the case with every best match superlative, it really came down to the little things, and in this instance it was Stealth Rock damage that ended up getting the edge over the Rosa Raiders. But Ethereal Rose looked to be in control at the beginning, then Monk started bringing it back, and I just was on the edge of my seat, and then Stealth Rocks got like 3 consecutive kills or something. It was pretty wild. So this was the most entertaining match for me to watch this week. Next up we have best performance. This was a tough one for me to give, and honestly all these superlatives were kind of tough, except for the next one. But I ended up giving it to Daz for his performance against Slacker. It was a 6-0, but that's not the only reason I thought this was the best performance. I just felt like Daz prepped super well for all of the Pennsylvania Poniard's threats. He had stuff like Water Absorb Araquanid, and Corsola Galar with Strength Zap, and one other thing that's evading me at the moment, but he was able to just handle everything that the Pennsylvania Poniards threw at him. And then offensively, he was able to recognize that Gardevoir was going to be super scary and played patient, waited it out, and eventually picked up a win on the back, pretty much on the back of Gardevoir, but with support all around. So that was really nice to see, really well prepped and well executed by the Halifax Hydreigons. And finally, the easiest superlative for me this week was Skull Bunny and the Po Town Nickit, because they got their first win against Free of all coaches, who has proven to be a very talented player. So that was really great that the Po Town Nickit got their first win. Definitely good to see that. I hate to see coaches who have to go a whole season without getting any wins, so congratulations to the Po Town Nickit. This match was really fun to watch as well, so if you haven't seen it, go check it out. Another one that was down to the wire and was probably equally deserving of best match, but I don't want to give the same match 2 different superlatives. I want to try to spread the love, so this one definitely had to be best turnaround. So congratulations, Skull Bunny. I hope you can continue with that win streak moving forward. The Pokemon Spotlight, I don't know what's good with this slide. The black lines keep showing up. This slide's just cursed and I can't fix it. Whenever I go into presentation mode, they show up. I don't know what it is. But it's going to Gengar of the Cape Town Crocodiles. It was a lead versus Krakenation and did exactly what you would want a lead to do. It chunked the opponent's lead. It knocked out a Pokemon, it put a bunch of offensive pressure, it scared things out. It was just great, and it was mostly because of coverage. It had Energy Ball for Rhyperior, Dazzling Gleam for Como-O, and that was pretty much it. I mean, it had Stab Shadow Ball, which is all it needed for Ribombee. So just a great, not exactly, not like super innovative or anything, but it had the coverage it needed and smacked the things when it counted and really set up the Cape Town Crocodiles to go on and get that win. So that is why Gengar gets the Pokemon Spotlight for week 4. Next up, we're going into the power rankings. Again, don't want to spend too much time on these, but this was last week's power rankings, and this here now is this week's power rankings. Everyone stayed pretty much the same, but the Cape Town Crocodiles overtake the Boston Bisharps for the number 1 spot. I don't know. I mean, he beat the Boston Bisharps, but I'm kind of torn about whether I think he's a better coach, especially since I think he's going to lose to the Gutsy Golbats coming up. So I don't know. Again, it just so doesn't matter at all. Oh, please. I hate doing these. I swear to God, I'm just going to stop doing these. They give me too much stress. But everyone pretty much stayed the same. I mean, the Gutsy Golbats moved up 4 slots because they won 2 games in a row, and they were really down. When they were the Carolina Cinderaces, they were very far down in the power rankings, but they've been making their way up. The San Diego Wild Chargers moved up 3 slots because I did not account for one of their past matches or something. I don't remember, but I think I may have made a typo in the last one and got confused about which slide was last week and which slide was this week, and it just got mixed up, and I'm not super sure what happened, but everyone else pretty much stayed the same. Moving up and down 1 or 2 spots doesn't really mean anything, and it's possible you won a match and moved down just because other coaches are doing really well, and it just... Okay, moving on. Moving on to my predictions for this week. These are my predictions, and I did pretty well at the beginning, and then everything kind of fell flat towards the end. I did not get any of the Guja Division matches correct because I rooted for the Resort City Marshadows, but the Po-Town Nickit came storming back and got their first win, and then I voted for the Boston Bisharps, but they actually lost. So I would like to note that I have gotten Krakenation's matchup wrong every single week, which, if you think about it, is just as impressive as getting it right every single week. So I feel like that should be worth something. I am single-handedly controlling Krakenation's season, but that does give me an overall record of 15 out of 24. I don't necessarily remember the specifics of this. The Raleigh Rotoms versus Chicago Flashfire. I can't keep it straight in my head, I'm sorry. Like I said, the Po-Town Nickit had a come from behind victory, and then the Boston Bisharps honestly just got smacked. That lead Gengar was definitely put the right foot forward for its Bruno, and it was all downhill from there for the Boston Bisharps, sadly. Sorry, who's the Pisces and Pokeboy? Sorry, I don't remember your match. But I got to keep them all in my head, and it's not that easy, so I apologize, but I ended up getting that one wrong. I believed in Pokeboy and you let me down, is basically what it boils down to. And then here are my week 5 predictions. I am rooting for Gen Inkoff in the Full Metal Alchemy for the first time this season. I really think they've been playing well for these past couple of weeks, improving that they are learning as a coach and becoming more competitive and more experienced and more willing to take risks and challenge the opponent and not giving up. And that is all fantastic. And I feel like I've seen the opposite from the Undead Legion. Ionite gets super discouraged and just gives up and shuts down. And I think that this could be Gen Inkoff's big moment to get a win. And I'm praying for you, man. I don't want to see you with a winless season, so please pick it up here versus the Undead Legion. I'm giving it to the Halifax Hydreigons as they take on the Rosarators. I think Daz has been proving that he can play at a very high level, especially last week. The preparation and execution were both like flawless, essentially, and I just don't feel like Ethereal Rose can compete with that. Next up, I'm giving it to Rylai's over Nala. I think the San Diego Wild Chargers are just too offensive of a draft, and the matchup looks pretty horrifying as it is. Not even taking into account how talented Rylai's is, obviously. I just don't think that Nala can compete with all of that. I'm also giving it to Monk of the Classic City Crush against the Pennsylvania Poniards. I feel like Monk has been continuously proving that he can prep really well and play really well, and Pennsylvania Poniards have not necessarily been showing me that, so that's why I'm giving it to Monk. I'm also going to give it to the Gutsy Golbats taking out the Cape Town Crocodiles. I think this is going to be a fun match. The Cape Town Crocodiles are undefeated, and the Gutsy Golbats are like kind of undefeated. They're 2-2, but only because the team was revamped from the Carolina Cinder Races. So Inversify is very talented, and even though It's Bruno just beat Krakenation, which is a commendable feat and definitely shows that he is a talented player. I don't want to be rude. I'll just leave it at that. I don't think he is good enough to take out Inversify, so for that reason, I'm rooting for the Gutsy Golbats. Next, I have the Raleigh Rodems beating the Po Town Nicket. I feel like the Raleigh Rodems keep letting me down week after week, and for some reason I keep rooting for them. But again, the matchup looks good. The Po Town Nicket just got a win, so maybe they're going to hit a hot streak, but I'm hoping that the Raleigh Rodems one time can prove me right, so please let it be this week. Speaking of proving me right, I am rooting for the Boston Bisharps against the London Finion. I just think Krakenation is a much more experienced battler than Jaskar, and definitely, in my view, has the superior draft, so this is a pretty easy pick for me, but yeah, I've been wrong every other week, so I guess we'll find out. And then I am giving it to Free of the Resort City Mars Shadow versus the Chicago Flashfire. I actually don't feel like Pisces has that many ways to answer ice types and hail in general, and obviously that's what Free is known for, and that's what Free is going to be bringing, so I gotta keep rooting for the hail team, even though you lost last week and let me down. But yeah, those are my predictions, so that brings us to the end of SIP of the Kraken Cup Week 4. Again, sorry for the sort of haphazardness and how crazy it all is, but I will do better next week. So this has been Entei, and Krakenation out.